Okay, Chevron, a good Chodesh and a good Yor. Good Chodesh. Kislev, this is the month of miracles. The month of miracles. The Hanukkah miracle, the month that people feel like it's the darkest month of the year, which means it's the saddest, it's the most challenging. It's the month when you wake up and it's dark and go to work, and by the time you get out of work it's dark. It's a very challenging month for people, but it's also the month where there's the greatest light, the greatest opportunity for revelation, because everybody knows that the light, the true light, only comes from the darkness. Not despite the darkness, but from the darkness. We're speaking about the powers of Mashiach, and I want to begin with a story. Everyone likes a story, because, you know, at the end of a class, the only thing you usually remember is the story. So, there was a man, an older gentleman, that he was walking down a beach, a beautiful white sandy beach. The sun was setting over the Mediterranean, and he saw in the distance, he saw what looked like a young boy. It's a story I've heard from my friend Daniel Katz. Some of the people have heard it. And he was looking in the distance and he saw what looked like this 8 or 9-year-old boy. And the boy was wearing what appeared to be this bright blue, pinstriped, 3-piece suit. And he had this big old red bow tie that was disproportionate to the rest of him. And he was standing right at the edge of the ocean and the edge of the sand, and he was like jumping up and down. Amir! Hi! Me! And this gentleman, continued to walk closer to this boy. He thought it was rather strange. He just, like jumping up and down. And finally, he got close enough to see, and he said, is everything good? Is everything okay? And he saw in the distance that the boy was looking at this huge tanker, but in the distance it looked no more than like a dot on the horizon, hundreds of miles away. And the boy was jumping up, I'm over here, come this way, I'm right here, please, come to me. At this point, the older man kind of like, he didn't want to laugh, or he felt bad for this person. Like this, when an 8-year-old boy is like jumping up and down, trying to motion to a tanker 1,000 miles in the distance, you kind of feel bad for the kid. And all of a sudden, as this gentleman was having these thoughts of doubt, the sound of thousands of tons of steel turning 90 degrees echoed over the water, and the screech of was that a good sound? Whatever that sound is. And coming straight towards them was this huge tanker ship. And the man was sort of, whoa. And the boy said to the gentleman, he said, you don't understand. The captain is my father. And the Sfarim, the holy books, say that this story is an analogy for prayer. And do you know what I think of this story? I have to tell you that I hate it with a passion. I think it's the most horrible story ever. You're thinking, oh my goodness, Rabbi, you're so nice. Like I was feeling so good. Wait, that was kind of nice, with the bow tie. And I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons why this story is completely inaccurate and does not display what Tefillah, prayer, really is. for three particular reasons. Number one, it's implicit in the story that the Father, of course, is speaking about God, is very far away. He's not close. He's far in the distance. Number two, it's implicit from the way that the boy is jumping up and down that if I don't jump up and down, I'm not going to get noticed. Which means I need to really, really pump myself up, or nothing is going to actually happen. And number three, before I was jumping up and down, I was not being noticed. And that's why I hate this story, because all of those are completely inaccurate. What Mashiach is going to teach us, which all the righteous of our generation are teaching us right now, is that one, Hashem is not far away, He's very close. In fact, He's so close that He's inside of you. And two, you don't need to jump up and down like a madman on shpolkos to get noticed. And three, even before you jump, you're already being noticed. Hashem is doting on you. And what we're going to learn, the amazing power that Mashiach is going to teach us as one of the main weapons of this war, as we are fighting the forces of evil, as the main form of communication of how humanity is going to go forward in communicating with God, is that prayer will reveal to us, not that we're giving something to God, like He needs us, the way many people think. That God is, it's all this blessed art thou stuff. Because God, right, I'm sure He's got really low self-esteem, right? Right, Reuven Moshe? He's got horrible self-esteem. He needs us to blessed art thou all the time. And He's like, okay, come on, keep feeding it this way, suckers. And He's up there on His throne with machine guns, ready to pounce. Was once quoted so horribly that essentially humanity is in the clutches of an angry God. The concept that, and we're being dangled like a spider over a fire, that God is just waiting. Just that imagery is ah! And the whole idea of God is that it's us and Him, and He's so far, and He's upset, and we have to grovel and appease Him by blessed art thouing all the time for Shachas bin Chamayriv. And if we don't, then somehow it's that He's going to have this low self-esteem complex, because we just got to blessed art thou, and He's going to punish us because He's God and He's powerful. All that is completely treif, puzzle treif. How do you translate puzzle treif? Puzzle treif. Puzzle treif. That's how you translate it. It's completely non-Torah based. Hashem yearns, kaviyachol, that we should have the opportunity to have a relationship with Him. We're going to learn that prayer is about a gift to us. Prayer is going to be a way of revealing that God is inside of me right now. And that I don't need to do some crazy stuff to show that He's there. And He's interested in me now. Not like the ship that was going in the distance, not taking notice of that boy. That Hashem is in me, noticing me, and prayer is a way of me revealing that relationship, that connection. If people have their Likutei Moharan's, I'm reading from Tinyana Pei Daled. If you don't have it, then you could see it later. Tinyana, the second book in Rabbi Nachman, 84. Da. Remember, when Rabbeinu says da, doesn't just mean no. It means open your hearts. And we have a Kabbalah, a tradition that when Rabbi Nachman says da, he was pulling this Torah down from the highest world of Atzilus, from a very lofty place. She'ikr hischabrus udevekes la'Hashem yisborach The main way of connecting to God, which will exist now and in the times of Mashiach, the main way, hu al yedei tefillah, is through davening. Is through davening. Ki tefillah hi shar, says Reb Nachman. Davening is like a gate. Davening is like a gate. Shederach sham nechnasim la'Hashem yisparach. By going through the gate, I'm able to enter the inner realm and relate to Hashem. If I want to go into some special chamber of the king, but the vault has been locked up, and the king is inside the palace, inside the chamber, but I never go through the gate, and I'm scaling the walls of the chamber, of the vault, never to find the gate to take me in there, that there's all the imaginary location of the button, or the bookshelf where you pull the book off and the whole thing turns around. If I don't know where the gate is, how will I ever get into the vault where the treasure and where the king is and is found? Tefillah is the gate that you can go right in. The doors open wide and you realize that it's right there. The amazing thing about a gate is it's not far. I could be standing right here. You could be in the biggest bank in the world where they have the big vaults of all the gold. What's the biggest gold vault in the world? Fort Knox. You could be standing by Fort Knox. You're right beside the gold. It's not far. There's just a gate. There's just a gate. If you could just get the gate open, it's right there. It's not far. You're right at the gate. God is right here. But there's a gate that you have to open. And we're going to learn in Tanya later that the gates are really not even there. The gates are just a figment of your imagination to begin with. They're just smoke and mirrors. But they look so real. Just like the fake news. It looks so real. But we're going to see that it's smoke and mirrors. Like much of Hollywood and much of the external world that looks so real, but you realize it's not really there. It's not. But tefillah gets you in. Tefillah pulls you in, and we'll see, pulls you into yourself. Says Reb Nachman, Ki tefillah hi malchus, a very mystical statement. Tefillah corresponds to the sphere of kingship. Tefillah and kingship, the idea of being a king, from and for the malchus, the bottom sphere, that is kingship, which really, the idea of the king, we've spoken about this in the past, the king as he's generally related to in the world at large. You know, some King James the whatever, who is just a womanizer and an evil, angry man that just ate food and, raised the taxes. We associate that figure, the evil king, with completely absorbed in himself. Everything was to come to him. Everything was just about him. It was about me running the kingdom, and they grovel by my feet. That's the problem. A lot of people relate to God that way, of some old drunken English king. But there is such a thing as the evil side of kingship. Then there's another type of king. The king of Israel. Where, like we mentioned, the king of Israel has a special mitzvah to write a second Sefer Torah, a second Torah scroll that he binds to his arm. And you know what it says in the Torah scroll? The king can't have too much money, the king can't have wives, too many, the king can't have all these things, because if he does those things, he's going to become too self-absorbed, and the role of the king of Israel is not about him, it's about humanity. So the king of Israel is the exact opposite of this old drunken king. The king of Israel is about the people, and he's completely noble and completely righteous. He's given over to God. We talked about this on Hoshana Rabbah, that really King David said, okay, if you want me to be the king, fine, but he was looking around, nobody else could do it. I guess if you want. We see the same thing with Moses. God's like, Moses, go say to the Jewish people, really? I was hoping somebody else would do the job. Someone's like, yeah, Mashiach. Everyone wants to be Mashiach nowadays. I am the Messiah. I am Mashiach. I want to be the Redeemer, the big spotlight. The real Mashiach is the one that's like, okay, if you want me to do it, so fine. That's a good sign that he's Mashiach, because he just like, can somebody else do it, please? But Hashem said, no, you're the best guy for the job. He's like, okay. That's what David HaMelech was saying. If you want it to be me, fine. Because there was no David HaMelech. He was a representation of a bigger vision. That's why, by the way, we all feel connected to King David's Psalms. If you haven't noticed, the whole world says the Psalms of King David. The entire world. We even though I walked the valley of the shadow of death, the world knows. The world knows the Psalms. Academic circles, they're studied in the halls of academia around the world for millennia. The world relates because everyone feels connected to King David, so too will be Mashiach. The entire of humanity will feel, I relate to him, I connect to him. There's a relatability factor. That's why it's very important to develop those qualities of relatability to a vast group of people. That's a very messianic quality. That's what it means, Malchus. Tefillah is connected to the side of kingship, but the good side of kingship, where it's not about me. It's actually about the greater whole. Now you might think, well, isn't prayer like me asking a bunch of stuff? When was the last time you guys actually read what it says in the Siddur? How much does it actually talk about you? And by the way, the big days of prayer, who knows? What's the big prayer days? Come on, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. The big days. Where everyone thinks like, oh my goodness, it's like the whole year. And yeah, you know how much it talks about you? Basically nothing. Basically not at all. You know what it talks about? About God. Meaning that what do I really want is that God should be revealed in the world. That's the true will of my soul. Now, by the way, between us, that will be the best for your soul also. You'll also be happy with that. So if you're thinking like, no, I gotta get a yacht, I gotta get a bigger house than LeBron, I gotta get this thing, I gotta get this, I need this this car, these shoes, God, you gotta hook me up. I only have the Android, what are they up to now? iPhone, what are they up to? 12, 13, 12? I only have the 11, God. Why do bad things happen to good people? So you think that's prayer, right? That's prayer. You think that's going to make you the happiest guy around, that you get the latest thing? Okay, then you're just going to be depressed because 6 months later they release the next one and yours is already on the way out. It's never going to be fully fulfilling. The soul, the godly soul, wants something much bigger. That's the idea of the king on the side of holiness. The king on the side of impurity wants to be that king, totally self-absorbed, wants to have the huge towers. Why? Because me. The king of Israel wants a temple, wants to build Jerusalem. Why? For Hashem. It's big, they're both kings. But what is it for? Okay, so hold on to this now, this introduction in Reb Nachman. Tefillah is Malchus. Tefillah is the king. It connects me to the real king, which is my neshama. My neshama, all that she wants, by the way, it's a she. My neshama is female. All that she wants, and there's reasons for that, all that she wants is to be a resting place for Hashem. King David is also referred to in a female sense as well. And there's many reasons for that as well. Shederach sham nechnosen laHashem ki tefillah hi malchus kamoisha kosev va'ani tefillah. King David himself said, not only do I pray, I am legend. I'm just kidding. I am prayer. King David said, I am tefillah. Meaning, he wasn't like egotistical. I am prayer. He just said that I embodied so completely the secret of prayer, which is removing in order to reveal. Prayer is removing in order to reveal the godliness that is already within you. Until I do that, then I'm being covered over with this power called the evil king. The evil king is my ego that wants to just be pumped up, gainsman, all that good stuff, to be the man. Why? Because I want to be the man and to have all the egotistical things that go along with that. The true you, there's no problem with the true you having muscles and having a nice car and having all those things. But all of that true you only wants that for the bigger picture. Mamish. Davening is that which peels away in order to reveal the true you that's there. Tefillah, says Rab Nachman, Loshen hischabrus. Tefillah comes from the word connection. Kamoisha Kosev, Naftuli Elakim, Niftalti, speaking about Rachel, that I'm bonded. Loshen hischabrus, you can see there in the Chumash and Bereshis Lamed. Ubishvil zeh, Rav Nachman says an interesting thing. Because when you're davening, you're connected to that power of king. Well, there's either one of two kings that are going to be active. Either the ego king or the... So if most people are still in the world of the ego king, what happens? This is profound psychology, my friends. Ubishvil zeh, al pi roiv k'sha'odem mispalel, when a person davens, noiflan loy machshava shel gadlus. When he davens, he starts getting like self-identified feelings, because tefillah is connected to king, and right now his godly soul is still trapped in the kingdom of the ego. The kingdom of the ego has a palace, has guards, has soldiers. Anyone who was with us in the last Princess series knows what we're talking about. The godly soul is trapped in that palace of the no-good king. It's trapped there. Because we've identified with the animal soul, with the evil king, with our ego, with, yeah, I'm the man. I gotta go out and make a name for myself. By the way, that language, let's make a name for ourselves. That's the language they said, anyone know? During the Tower of Babylon. Naselanu Shem, let's make a name. And what were they trying to do? They're trying to reveal God in the world. They were trying to essentially eliminate God and fight God. It was about, we should be somebody. Let's fight the Lord. That is not absent from our day and age as well, sadly. The godly soul has been trapped by the dragon, and you have to go and slay the dragon. Sound familiar? Like every video game? It's all from the Torah. And rescue the princess from the evil king. The princess is your true godly soul that's been trapped by the evil king, being guarded by Bowser and all the spooky, scary dragons, Mordor stuff. And you need to go in there, the tzaddik, with we're going to see B'chardi V'kashti, with your sword and your bow. And there Rashi says it's referring to davening, and to go and slay the dragon. Yes, that's exactly what you do every time you daven. That's why davening is called war. It says in the Zohar that when you daven, it's called going to war. Because when you daven, all of a sudden there's a feeling of the evil king has trapped my soul. And I need to slay him and rescue the princess. She's there, she's in me. I need to pull her out and to reveal that which is already inside of me. And she's crying out to be saved. She's crying out to be saved. And like it says in Ezekiel, Vani b'soich hagoyle, the true me, is in the grips of the evil king, has been trapped in the grips. Gadlus, shegadlasi memshelas harash, sheroitz l'skadl v'limloi. And how do you free the princess? Says Rab Nachman, when you daven with excitement and with feeling. If you're davening just cerebrally, it doesn't go. It has to be emotional, emotive. Because I want to recognize and make that princess relevant to me. If there's no emotion, then it's never going to be relevant that I want the princess to be the true identification that is my soul. If it's cerebral, then I'm never really connected to the emotional qualities of my neshama. I'm just wrapped up in the evil king, and he just basically runs my life. And that's why in the middle of prayer, I could just go on my phone, I could do this, I could be totally distracted, because the evil king is more exciting to me. If anyone remembers in The Last Princess, when the viceroy entered into the palace of the no good king, it was very beautiful. It was very alluring over there. And you get lost in that palace for a lifetime, sadly. Our davening, which Mashiach will ultimately truly teach us these secrets, which we're going to learn much more, is to free the princess. So my friends, there's nothing left to do. We have to free the princess, slay the dragons, and bring our soul home. We should be zoich to this. Amen. Amen. Amen.